Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is a continuation of the previous episodes regarding the death penalty in Islam. As we learned from previous lessons that Sharia has adopted very strict and very tough punishment for adultery. And the evidentiary requirements are very stringent and very strict. In this episode, we will learn what kind of evidentiary requirements Islam demands us. The Quran requires solid proof, no question for that. Beyond doubt, before convicting any individual, be it a man or be it a woman. This means that the judge is required to look for any means that may be used in favor of the offender to suspend the punishment. Our jurist scholars unanimously agree that proof can only be demonstrated in two ways. Number one, he or she should be very clear and free and willful confession by the person who has committed adultery. However, if that person withdraws her confession, he or she is not punishable, because there would no longer be any proof of the incidence of the prohibited act. There are so many examples or requirements which the Fuqaha have adopted. I will just discuss some of them. Number one, undertake the confession by himself or herself. No need for any agent or any solicitor. They cannot provide the testimony. It should be a person himself present. Number two, possess full presence of mind and consciousness at the time of the confession. The confession itself must be in detail, in which the confessor clearly states that full intercourse has occurred between the two accused of adultery. It should be only related for one incident. Number two, be accompanied by a declaration from the confessor that no marital relationship existed at the time of the act between him and her. Number three, it should not be, he or she should not be subject to any kind of force. If there is any force, he is not able to, nobody can punish him. And it should be taken in the court of law during 4 different sessions, means different periods of time. Now, the second way of the evidentiary requirement, the way the proof can be demonstrated by the testimony of 4 reliable Muslim male eyewitnesses, all of whom must have seen the act in its most intimate details at the same time. Even if a man or woman are found in a closed bedroom, naked in a bed, in a position that implies adultery, it will not be considered adultery without 4 witnesses seeing the full action. The 4 witnesses standard comes from the Quran itself, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, لَوْلَا جَاءُوا عَلَيْهِ بِأَرْبَعَةِ شُهَدَاءَ فَإِذْ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بِالشُّهَدَاءِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ عِندَ اللَّهِ هُمُ الْكَاذِبُونَ. Surah Nur, ayat number 13. It could be translated, why did they not produce for it 4 witnesses? And when they do not produce the witnesses, then it is they in the sight of Allah who are the kazibin, the liars. Scholars from classical period to the present day have written long dissertations on who can be the witness. There are 50 examples for that. I will discuss some of them. Not all. This discourse is not really, we can count all of them. Number one, the witness must be adult, not a boy below 18. The witness must be sound person. He should not be majnoon, mad, or a sabi, or he should not be in sleeping. The witness must have integrity. The persons who are known, they have committed wrongs, mistakes, or committed bad things in their lives, they cannot be the witnesses. Or whose integrity is unknown or unacceptable for the witness. The four witnesses must all testify the same act, taking place at the same time and the same location. All four witnesses must be together at the same place when they give their testimony. The witnesses must be known to be fair and possess a good reputation within the community. The testimony itself must be presented before an independent judge. Be oral, be clear, be presented in the presence of the accused people. Include verification by the witness that he witnessed the act of adultery, and to present a detailed description of the act, including mentioning the exact time and location of the incident. Now the question is, why Sharia has put all these strict things, impose those such harsh things? In reality, Sharia obliges the judge to verify the witness accurately, and if any suspicion arises before or after, the person will not be accepted as a witness. The requirements of 4 eyewitnesses, with all its restrictions and specifications, makes the crime almost impossible to prove, except in highly unlikely cases where the act of adultery was done publicly. In cases of adjudicated by the Prophet ﷺ, they were all with the confession. And also it was clear that the penalty should not be applied in cases of doubt, and that satisfaction of evidentiary requirements made proof of that crime very difficult, and therefore the punishment would rarely, if ever, be carried out. An important point to note is that a witness must be a person of integrity, and integrity requires that a person does not look on. A person can only testify to what one has seen with his own eyes. If he therefore happens to see an act of gross indecency, a wrong thing going on, this means that if he sees it going on with his own eyes, his integrity is called into question. He will be not the witness. Needless to say, no cases of adultery was ever proven by such evidence in Islamic history, or at least no case was ever recorded in Islamic history as well, where the punishment was imposed on the basis of 4 witnesses. All ahadith relating to the application of zina have relied on confession evidence. And even then, the Quran provides that a person who repents should not be punished. The strict evidentiary requirements demonstrate that Islam takes a lenient and merciful approach in the interpretation of the offense and application of the punishment. This makes clear that, yet again, Sharia law encourages protecting life over death. Therefore, where states do retain the death penalty for adultery, it would be almost impossible to apply the punishment in practice if the strict evidentiary requirements are followed, meaning that an effective suspension on the death penalty could be established without being unfaithful to Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand our religion, our deen, and the ahadith Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the next episode, I will try to explain the blasphemy and the apostasy and the requirements in Islam. Are they punishable or not? Jazakumullahu khair. Ahsan al jaza.